Hi, everybody, and welcome to this instalment of the Landscapers Grow Together video interview series. Today, I'm privileged to be joined by Barry Randall. He is the Managing Director of Leicestershire Garden Design and also the founder of Barry Randall's Inner Circle, which is a business coaching business. So hi, Barry, thanks for joining us today. Do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, well, as you said, my name's Barry Randall. I've been in landscape gardening for, 25 years now. So learned the hard way, picked up the tools when I left school. Always knew I wanted to go into landscaping as a career because my dad did that. So I kind of followed in what he did. And over the last 6 years, I've built a company called Leicestershire Garden Design Company, as you said. And now I've moved on into the world of coaching other landscapers in how to grow their business, in systems and stuff. So, yeah, it's all going really well. Thank you.
Awesome. So can you maybe tell me the story of Leicestershire Garden Design in brief, I guess? Were there any pivotal moments that kind of accelerated your growth to where you're at now, multi-million pound business?
Yeah, it's an odd one. My story was that I was very good at landscaping. I'm very good at doing the landscaping, the technical side of landscaping, and I wanted to develop a business. So I was a business owner stuck in a self-employed person's mindset. So and the way I define self-employed is if you have a day off, you don't get paid, and business owner for me is if you have a day off, you get paid. So that's just a simple definition for me. And I met a guy through a client of mine who gave me a book called The E-Myth, which was about systems. And he gave me this book and put me in touch with his business coach. And I had a conversation with a business coach. And I'm very good at talking normally, and so I had a good conversation with him. And he asked me for a Microsoft Excel document with any jobs that I'd done recently and prices, so we could try and work out our profit margins. And I panicked because I had no idea what Microsoft Excel was. And this was about 6 years ago. So I realized how out of touch with the world I was by just building gardens and not actually going out and discovering other stuff. So that was the pivotal moment for me when I realized I didn't know what Microsoft Excel was. And my daughter was 11, nearly 12, and she knew what it was. So she was about 6 at the time, and she knew what it was and I didn't. So I thought that was the wake-up call that I needed.
So that kind of changed your mindset in terms of going from being a landscaper maybe or self-employed to thinking of yourself more as a business owner. From the people that I speak to, I feel like there are many business owners who are kind of stuck in a similar position to maybe where you were. So maybe the business is kind of has been plateauing for a little bit, or maybe they're stuck and they don't know how to push through on certain things. But like you've said, hiring the business coach was a big thing. Was that kind of the thing that made the difference?
I would say that's the one thing, because I mean, coaching might not work for everybody, and you might not get the right coach. So maybe I was lucky in the fact that I met someone who I connected with, who gave me a more of a spiritual outlook towards business as well. So it's not just about how much money you earn. It's about what you do with the money that you earn, and about the good that you can do with growing a business and things like that. So that really connected with me. It helped because it gave me something that I hadn't thought about before. But he also introduced me to various marketing concepts that I've obviously gone on and developed myself. But again, as a landscape gardener at the time, that was all I really knew. How to build a garden. Like, I was good at it, but it was actually when I stopped doing that my business started to be successful. And I found it difficult because I really love doing that. Like, even now, Saturday just gone, it's like Thursday now, but last Saturday one of my teams is working quite close to my house, about 5 miles away. So I just popped to see them on Saturday because they was working, and I found myself, building a wall with them, but because I just really enjoy doing it. So,
yeah.
And I used to think, well, how come like other people are so successful with their businesses, not in landscaping, but in general. I can't be successful with my own business. Like, what's the difference? And then my coach opened my eyes to the fact that it's the things that I love doing are stopping me being successful. So, and I couldn't get my head around how can something I love stop me from being successful? That don't make any sense to me. So I kind of like had to go and discover what that meant. And it was that. I mean, the hard work of growing a business is, sitting down in isolation sometimes and working on those strategies for your business and the financial forecasts. That when you've been in a team of landscapers, number one, isolation is difficult anyway, because you're used to having the camaraderie and the people around you. And I'm a people person. And the second thing was, but I love doing that. I like putting paving slabs down more than I like doing financial forecasts at the time.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I need to be successful, so I need to do these things, but I love doing that. How can I get a balance on both? So what I did was I just made business creative. So I created team building days for my team. I created a different way of hiring staff by doing discovery days, so that people come in and learn about the business before we hired them. And I tried to design the systems in my business so that it felt creative, like building a garden. Because when you're doing a lot of managerial type work, there's never really a start, middle, and an end. But in building a garden, there's a start, middle, and end. And I think a lot of people, when they're making the shift, and I found this, is you get stuck in the middle, so there's never quite an end to it. But I always find that I'm better working slightly in the future. So, I found that transition quite difficult. And I really love landscaping. I still love landscaping, but my day is creative now. So I still get that creative fix that I needed as a landscaper that I found tough in the beginning when I was the manager or whatever.
Yeah. You can basically redirect your creative energies into creating a process or a system for the business, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, because there's a big thing in the culture, I think, of do what you love. So when you were talking about what you loved was actually getting in your way, that was quite interesting. So when you're going to hire a coach, like when you first hired your coach, or in fact, a number of other things in the business, like investing in marketing or investing in a new team member, these are things that are upfront costs to the business, or as one way you can think of it. And I know a lot of people can feel like they just can't spare cash for this kind of thing, or they don't have money in the bank. How do you kind of get people to make the shift of understanding, sometimes you need to make an investment, and you can lose out by not doing that? What made you see the urgency of needing to invest?
What I've discovered now is that I've recently got into disc profiling and understanding people's personality profiles. And what I've discovered now that I didn't know at the time is that I've got a high D personality profile, which basically means I'm a risk taker. So I wasn't aware of that at the time. I just did what I felt was right. So once I'd made my decision that I was going to hire someone like a business coach to help me develop the business, I kind of believe in that. And then all the decisions that I make after that are quite simple for me. So if I'm talking to a group of people or a potential client, I'll always say, just define what success is. So once you define what success is for you, for me, it's just to help as many people as I can. It was to be a millionaire, because I couldn't think of anything more than that. So again, that's a society that I lived in. You know, people aspire to be a millionaire. So that was an easy one for me to pick, but I had no reason. I didn't have a real strong reason why I wanted that. So it was difficult to keep a number that made no, I didn't have a purpose for it. So now I really want to help lots of people. It makes it easy for me. So once now I define what success is, it's easy to then make the decisions, because everything's leading me towards that goal that I've got now. This is kind of going into goal setting a little bit, but I just think, like, to business owners, if you want to get more work, you need to do more marketing. So if you spend more money on marketing, you'll get more work. But you can't get more. It's an odd one, because you can't get more work without more marketing, but you can't get more marketing without more money. So it's like the chicken and egg scenario.
Yeah.
But just I'd say again, it's that leap of faith, isn't it? Going into something that you don't know so well. So again, a couple of things that I would say is, number one, be sure about what you want to achieve, and that makes the decision easy. And number two, get great people around you that have done the similar thing before. It's so easy to go and join a networking group where somebody's done what you want to do. I went to a networking event right in the early part of my business, and I went and asked one of the guys who had a really big landscaping company if I could spend a day with him at his business, learning how they run their business, and he just said yes. I was like, okay. And
sometimes you just have to ask, right? And take that risk in that sense.
And then what I'd do then is say, I'm thinking of doing this thing called marketing. What would you suggest? And he said, you can't run a business without it. So then I was like, well, if he's got what I want and he's doing marketing, then I've got to do it. So I think be curious, isn't it? That's probably a good idea. Is if someone suggests you should do some marketing, go and ask a few questions. Get curious about it, and don't really be afraid of it. It's not as scary as you might think.
I think open-mindedness is one of those things that can come in handy, right? It means that you get new approaches can come to you and they can help you, rather than kind of thinking that you have everything down, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So yeah, curiosity and open-mindedness, I definitely relate to that. So some of the this has touched on some of the areas, obviously, that you help other people with now in your coaching business. And so I think you were saying there were three main areas that you help people with. So valuing their time, thinking about what they want to do with their money, and building a good team. So what are your philosophies around that, and things that you might say to people in your coaching?
I think I'll say before, the when you start to build the business and you go out of that comfort zone of being, doing paving or whatever it is that you do for your job, it gets overwhelming, because there's so many things that you could, what do I do next? And then that overwhelm just makes you non-productive. So I'll try and break that down into three fundamentals, which is time, team, and money. Time is, yes, about time management, but more about how much you value your own time. So a simple mathematical equation on it would be, if you charge your time out at £20 an hour for an 8-hour day, that's £160. If you get someone to help you do that and you pay them, £10 an hour, you do it a little bit quicker. So actually the amount that you earn per hour is more, but the most important thing is you then get a bit of time back. And most self-employed mindset would say, yeah, but if I do it myself, I'll earn more. Like, yes, I agree. Like, money-wise, in that day you will earn more, but per hour you won't, and you won't have any time to yourself. So once people understand that actually time's more important than what they're earning, they completely make the shift. So to me, time's about time management. That comes a little bit later. Once you start to, get default diaries and work on, what you should be working on. But first and foremost, it's how much you value your time and what your time is actually worth. And again, that comes back a bit to defining success. If success for you is, spending 3 hours a day with your, dog, walking the dog, then if you can save 3 hours, the money becomes irrelevant because you're now doing what you really want to do. So first thing's time and how much people value their own time. The second thing that we look at is then the team. So if you want to have that time for yourself and you also want to earn more money, then you need to get a good team around you. Most people hire great people and then don't give them what they need to do a good job. I think I read something by Peter Drucker, like a great manager guru, said that most managers just make it difficult for people to do their job. So you got to hire people, give them opportunities that they never expected. So I hired someone to be a landscaper for us, and he, in my eyes, he'd be our MD, the managing director, in the next 6 months. So when he first came in, he thought, if you speak to him now, he goes and gives presentations and stuff like that. He said he always thought that he'd just be a landscaper forever, and now he's got the opportunity to run a company, and he's getting paid far more than he ever has or ever thought he would do. So it's finding good people and then giving them the opportunity to show what they're really capable of, because most people haven't got any idea what they're capable of until they're thrust into this position. So it's not only just opening your own mindset, it's opening other people's. So team's important, because it's my job as a business owner to make sure my team have got what they need. Then they just look after the business, so I don't have to think about it ever. Like, they just take care of everything. So and then money is helping people to understand that if you allow money to sort of be the master of you, then you'll never earn enough. But if you understand what to do with the money that you earn, then it doesn't matter how much you earn. It doesn't matter how little you earn. You can make it work for you. So there's lots of things around money, but with clients, I'll talk about pricing. And again, this is another thing that we go back to how much they're worth per hour. They don't understand that price is elastic as well. And what I mean by that is, most of the time with landscape design, you're selling knowledge. It's not like you can go into Marks and Spencer's and have a look on the shelf at what that costs. Therefore, if you connect with the client and give the client what they want, they'll pay whatever they think it's worth. So it's difficult to put a value on what we do in landscaping or building or kitchen fitting when it's design wise, because you're selling knowledge. So as long as you connect with the client and you give them what they want, they'll pay whatever it is. And most landscapers that I come across just don't get that. So they charge themselves out so ridiculously low in price. I've got someone who charges out a full team of 3 people for less than £100 an hour. And if I go to my lawyer and say I want a letter, it's 250 quid an hour.
Yeah.
Like, where's the difference? Like, to me, landscaping's changing people's lives as well.
Yeah. It's a lifestyle for the client,
Yeah.
They either look out the window and they see something really nice in the backyard, or they don't. And
exactly.
so yeah.
If you're building an extension, someone's kitchen, a bathroom or something like that, that feeling that they get when it's finished is equally as good as when they win a dispute with somebody, with a lawyer. So the fact that someone can charge out 3 landscapers, 3 people, with the physical work that goes into it, at less than half a lawyer would charge for one letter, is crazy. I don't get that. So and so I was there at that. I used to be in that situation. I just try and say to people that's just crazy. So So just to recap on that, time is about people valuing their time and helping them understand what they're worth. Team is about giving people, not only opening your own mindset, but opening other people's minds and showing them that there's more available to them if they want it. A lot of people are scared if they train them, they'll leave. And I heard someone say before, if you don't train them, they might stay. So it's like, it's just having that mindset, like an abundant mindset. And then money is about, yes, you know, we want to earn a lot of money to be happy and that kind of thing. But it's more about what you do with the money. And again, it all comes back to understanding what you're worth. And my mission is to make sure that everybody, especially in construction, you know, because my dad's done construction all his life and he won't have a pension and that kind of thing, just to make sure as many people as possible get for the wear and tear and the damage on their backs and knees, and that they get, you know, what they're worth. So that's my philosophical passionate.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably a better motivator than having the money goal. So kind of like you were saying, it's what you can do with having money that can really get you going. So yeah. I relate to that. I would love to talk more. I've got tons of other things I could ask you, but I think we're reaching our time. So let's wrap up, and maybe we can have another interview sometime down the line to go into more detail. So thanks so much, Barry, for joining us today. Thanks again to Barry for joining us for this episode of the Landscapers Grow Together interview series. I'll put the link to Barry's website below so you can check that out. See you in the next episode.